What if you could manifest anything you wanted instantaneously? The thing is that the better we become at manifesting things in our lives, the more important the mindset practices become. Because if you're not manifesting things intentionally and on purpose, you're manifesting them accidentally on autopilot. And then you become the living example of be careful what you wish for. First of all, welcome to my channel. Welcome back to another video. I'm Annie, your Silicon Valley Sage Sister, here to bring consciousness to the forefront of your daily life to make life a little kinder and simpler. So one of my favorite quotes from Wayne Dyer on manifesting our lives is that the energy you have to create what you want is in your thoughts. Now, we've all had those moments in life where looking back, we say, I don't even know what came over me, or I don't even know how that happened, or I knew I didn't want to do that, but I did it anyway. And it's because in those moments, we were acting so unconsciously from an autopilot that it was like we weren't even in control of ourselves at all. This is the autopilot that I'm referring to when I talk about manifesting our lives on autopilot on accident. And the better we get at manifesting things in our lives, the less we want to be manifesting from these places of autopilot. And though we cannot completely avoid going into autopilot, what we can do is make sure that if we slip into one of these moments of autopilot, we are running on a software that we created that we know will lead us where we want to be going, rather than manifesting things we don't want or manifesting things in ways that we don't want. So when it comes to the foundational practices of manifesting, there are two different types of exercises that are most important. They're the exercises that allow us to start consciously engaging with life more and being on autopilot less. And then there are the types of exercises that allow us to be creating the software that we're running when we are on autopilot, so that we know that that software is something that we have intentionally created that will lead us in the right direction rather than lead us in the wrong direction. Now, before I get into a little more detail on each of those, I want to give you another example of why being able to consciously engage with your life more is important when it comes to manifesting your life. So just the other night, I was sitting next to the fireplace, holding the fireplace poker handle with my left hand. And in a very unusual moment of unconscious action, which I haven't experienced one of those in the better part of a decade, I went and reached down for the fireplace poker handle with my right hand. And I had no reason to think that I could do this because I was already holding it in my left hand. So this was a very, very odd moment of unconscious action, because if I'm already holding the fireplace poker handle with my left hand, there's no reason any part of me should think I could grab the handle elsewhere with my right hand. I ended up burning my hand. You can see that discoloration on my palm there, and there's a little bit on my finger where I burnt my hand. Now, what does this have to do with manifesting? Literally just before that, I was talking about how I wanted to get better at being ambidextrous. I had been practicing being ambidextrous more and more, and I was just talking about how I wanted to get better at using my left hand as well as I can use my right. And lo and behold, an hour or so later, I end up having to spend the entire rest of the night using my left hand for everything because I burnt my right hand. You better believe that I am recognizing that it's time for me to be doing more of these foundational practices. So let's get into some examples of these practices. Well, the one that I teach in my intuitive lifestyle course is analyzing your beliefs and your belief systems, like literally sitting down and journaling out, what do I believe? Where did it come from? What do I really believe about this? Do I still believe it? Do I not believe it? What should I keep? What should I get rid of? You know, along the lines of, where did this come from? Is this person someone I should be trusting about these things or not? Should I be looking into this more? Should I be looking in the opposite ideas of this? Getting through all of these things and then not just doing this with your belief systems, but doing it with your priorities, doing it with your values, because those things are what are running our autopilot when we do slip into moments of autopilot. Our belief systems, our priorities, and our values. So if you're consciously engaging with those things, rather than just letting them sort of haphazardly come to you, you will be manifesting your life on purpose with intention more than on accident and on autopilot. Now, the second type of exercise, I want to actually walk you through one of these exercises. And it's one of my favorites from the A Course in Miracles student workbook. So I want to do this quickly because I'm losing the light. But these are important because the more we can consciously engage with the world rather than slip into moments of autopilot, the more we can manifest with intention and on purpose. So A Course in Miracles uses this example of a cup to show you this before you do the exercise. We give labels to things. We give meanings to things. But the only meaning that anything has is the meaning that we give it. And starting to understand this and that things don't inherently hold the meaning that we think we do is an important first step. So for instance, a cup. We've decided anything that's made out of a material that's kind of this shape is called a cup, and that it is for drinking liquids. But you could drink liquids out of a bowl. It would be harder, but you could drink liquids off of a plate. You could use a cup for digging, and we could call this a shovel. But we don't. We've decided this is a cup, and what that means is that it's for drinking liquids. But this material in this shape doesn't inherently hold that meaning. We've given it to it. So I want you to do this practice with something else around you right now. I want you to look around the room and pick one thing and notice how it's labeled something, and that based on that label, it has a meaning that we've given it that it doesn't mean, doesn't inherently have. So another example of this, as you do this for yourself, I'll give you another example of this. Right now, I see a calendar on the wall. Now this is paper. I could use it for starting a fire. I could write a poem on it. I could journal on it. But because it's got specific print on it, it is known as a calendar, and its meaning is that we are supposed to organize ourselves in time space with it. But it doesn't inherently have that meaning. We've just given it that meaning because of attributes it has. But again, I could use it. I could use that paper for starting a fire. I could write something on the back of it. I could write something on the front of it. It doesn't have to be a calendar. It inherently, the only thing it really is paper. Now, go ahead and do this with one more thing in your room. Pick one more thing, and I will be quiet for a moment. And I want you to look at this thing, and I want you to notice, what is the label that this thing has? And what meaning do we attribute to that label that it doesn't inherently have? And it doesn't have to be long, lengthy, or extremely thought out. Just start to notice. What is it? What is that meaning that we've given it that it doesn't inherently have? In psychology, these things are called schemas. The way we give meaning to the way certain things are that tell us what we're supposed to be doing with them in certain contexts. And the doing of that is called memeing. Acting out schemas is memeing because we've seen other people do it. We do it ourselves with those things or in those contexts. So, the point of this exercise is to start to show us that the only meaning that anything has is the meaning we give it. And the next exercise that A Course in Miracles has you meditate on is that our thoughts are things. And so what does this mean? Is that the only meaning our thoughts have are the meanings we give them. And when you can start to recognize this, you can start to consciously engage with the world in a new way that allows you to manifest things more intentionally, more on purpose, rather than on autopilot and on accident. And allows you to start to craft the software, the spiritual software of your human being that allows you to, when you do slip into those moments of autopilot, know that you are going to be led in the right direction by your sub and unconscious, because you've gardened your mind. You haven't let the world just drop seeds in there to be sprouted, because you've weeded your garden. You've weeded the garden of your mind, and you've planted your own plants there, flowers there. Thank you guys for joining me for another video. Always remember, don't hesitate to reach out. I just opened 7 new spots for working with me. I just created a new session package that's a once-a-month session package, and I just recently updated Patreon to be the most affordable it has ever been to officially join the tribe at $32 and $39 a month. We have my intuitive lifestyle course there. We have the live monthly workshops that I'm going to start doing again that you can join as a Patreon member, where you get to not just watch these workshops that I have on Patreon, but participate in them and join in the Q&A afterwards. I also we are in the 20s of 365 A Course in Miracles student workbook exercises. And so that means there are plenty more to join in on. All the links to all the things are always in the description. And as always, may the energies you serve you well. Let's keep making our way through, and I'll see you in the next one.